Okay, today I'm going to be showing you how to, I have a nail in my tire, and I'm going to show you how to plug a tire, but the difference is I'm going to try to do it while it's actually physically on the car. Sometimes the position of the nail favors just doing it while it's on the car. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pan the camera, show you where the nail is, and what I recommend. All right. So if you look closely, and I'm going to zoom in, the nail is right here in the center of the tire. Right here. So by turning the wheel all the way to the left in this case, it happens to be on the front tire. You wouldn't be able to do this on the rear tire because you can't turn the wheel to where you can access it. But because it happens to be right here, I made sure that the nail, when I position the car, the nail is up high. If it was down here, it would be a lot harder to access from the front because there's going to be a time when you have to push and maneuver the devices to get this nail out. And being able to go vertical, up and down, it's going to be a lot easier than trying to go horizontally. Okay? So, that's the position that I recommend, and let's see if we can get started. Now, this is the material I'm going to need. One, good pair of pliers, so you can pull the nail or the screw, whatever's stuck in the tire. The actual material to replace or to actually make the plug. This is the plugging material. Okay? It's very, very sticky. Very, very sticky. Your tools for actually increasing the size of the hole. We're going to push this in. Once we take the nail out, we're going to push this in and allow this, which has a very, 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 very rough surface. Push this in and allow it to increase the size of the hole so that we can get this plugging material in. And then this is the first tool. The second tool, if you look closely, has an opening here because that is where the plugging material is going to be threaded. And this will hold the plugging material as you put it into the tire. So you have one tool to make the hole bigger and another tool to introduce the plug. The final thing that's critical, absolutely critical, is rubber cement, because the rubber cement is going to seal any possible area where air could possibly leak out. It's going to seal it and make it tight. So let's go ahead and do it. I'm going to do less talking and let's just get this started. Okay, for the rest of the video, you will not be able to see me, which is not even important, but I want you to keep focus on what's happening to this nail, okay? I'm going to get my pliers, needle nose pliers. Before that, I'm going to take my plugging material, grab me one of the pieces, like I said, it's very, very sticky stuff here. Very, very rubbery to feel. Well, it makes sense that it feels rubbery because it's going to be replacing the hole in a rubber tire. So, take this off. One of the many pieces, and that's what we have. That's what's going to do the trick. Okay. Before I get started, I'm going to take this plug and thread it into the space that I showed you earlier. Threading it in. Hopefully you can see that the gap here, I just stuck it into the gap. I didn't have to thread through like a needle, no. I just actually put it into the gap from the side. And what's going to happen is as I push it into the tire, it's going to do this. It will go into the tire because it's going to collapse like this. And the gap is going to allow me that when I am finished and I pull this out, the gap will release it and this will stay in the tire. You're going to see how that works in a second. All right. I want to make sure that I don't forget to put some of the rubber cement onto that plugging material. I'm going to take some rubber cement. To make sure that this is nicely covered with rubber cement. And I'm doing that before time because once I pull the nail out of the tire, what do you think is going to happen? Air is going to start escaping from the tire. And instead of allowing enough air to escape from the tire for it to go all the way flat, it's great for me to be ready to do what I have to do. So I went ahead and put this in. I'm going to set it on the side in a place where it won't get damaged. And now I'm ready to remove the nail itself. So I grab my needle and pliers. Hopefully these are going to be sufficient enough for what I need to do. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes you have to really work with it. Alright, you start to hear the air coming out. I'm going to get a bigger pair of pliers. Okay, it's much bigger for the pliers. See if I can really grab this nice and tight. Alright, air's going out. I take my plug. Well, the first thing is my plug. Find the place where the air was coming from. That's it. And I stick this in. And this, like I said, this is going to make the hole big enough to receive. Big enough to receive the plug. While that's sitting there, I'm going to add a little bit more of this glue. Make it nice and covered. And I'm almost ready to put this in, so I have to move faster now, so I'm going to stop talking for a second. Notice, I'm intentionally making it big because I only have one shot trying to get that plug into the straight. Alright, there it goes, in. And you have to be careful not to push it too far in, because if you're not careful, it can go all the way through and then your plug is on the inside of the tire, and that hasn't helped you at all. So now I'm trusting that the plug is in place far enough in, and when I pull this out, it releases the tool that we're using and leaves the plug in place. Now I'm going to take some more rubber cement, cover this thoroughly with rubber cement, close out any place that might have holes, any air space that might be seeping out. And when that dries, we're going to have a nice tight seal. Now, a question that may be arising, morning, all of this excess amount that's sticking out, what are we going to do with that? Well, there are two things we can do. One, I'm going to take something and cut it off up to a point, but the rest, as the tire is moving and rolling around, it will just flatten out and help make this seal even more secure. So I'm going to cut some of it off. Okay, I have just a regular knife here. I'm going to take that along with my needleless pliers and basically cut a piece of that off. And what remains is going to be sufficient to just flatten out and help finish the seal. It does not have to be cut all the way down to the very, very root. It's not really going to be much of a problem, okay? And we're basically finished. What I'm going to do now, add a little bit more of this rubber cement. Make sure this is nicely sealed. And once again, as I drive, this will become just a flattened out extra piece of rubber that becomes part of the tire. And in just a short period of time, no one will even recognize it anymore. It will be covered with dirt, and no one will be able to visually see what it is. But that's the completion. It's done. For all practical purposes, it's done. And the tire, I'm going to back the camera out and see that the tire has not lost much air at all. It's not lost much air at all. Now, from this angle, good morning. The tire looks flatter than it was, but as I zoom in, as you see, still has a decent amount of air already in it. So that's basically how you plug a tire while it's still on the car. You can only do it on the front tire like this pretty easily because you can turn the tire left or right. You want to have the plug as high on the tire as you can so that you can push down vertically as opposed to trying to push horizontally, which is much more difficult. Aside from that, you have to take it off the car. Okay, final step is to basically add some air to the tire. I happen to buy one of these cigarette lighter air inflation tools. Just a powerful little pump. It actually has a meter on there that allows you to measure the amount of air pressure and all of that. Well worth the buy. Probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $80 or so, but it's worth having. It's absolutely worth having. Basically just everything that you would expect as far as simplicity of adding air. Clamp it on. Read the air pressure and let it happen. This particular tire, the recommended air pressure is no more than 49 pounds per square inch. So we're going to go somewhere between 45 and 49, and that'll do that. Right now we're at about 35 pounds of pressure. It takes a minute, but there's nothing like this. Absolutely nothing like it. Now, because the tire has actually been repaired, I'm going to make sure that the air pressure this time, instead of just adding air for me to drive around on this little leak until I got to the step, this particular time, make sure the pressure is right. Why not? It's supposed to be. Okay. I'm at 45 pounds per square inch. Recommended maximum is 49, so I can stop anywhere in there. Let me give about another 15, 20 seconds. Okay, I'm approaching 49, so I'm almost done. That's it. You've done it. That's how simple it is. And you have a repaired tire ready to drive. See you next time.